I was invited to take part in this exhibition. I was very happy. These are weird times, and a shame we didn't have any chance to meet, all of us. I show the installation Broom, which is a 3-channel video. Normally it's projected on transparent screens in a dark space where the images appear as holograms. Now for this exhibition, because there was too much light, we decided to show it on monitors and made something sculptural out of it. The whole work is kind of poetic about human relation in the digital era, referring to literature and some iconical artworks. The work was shown first in Vaughan in 2018, was supported by the Stimuleringsfonds. Lately also shown in Dresden. It's about contact, non-contact, and the characters in the work, they miss each other or dismiss each other, they catch each other, or they are being each other's holograms. So the whole thing hints to the freedom that we achieve through digital media, but also the isolation and the constant frustration, the uncertainty, and all which is part of this new kind of life that we have as humans. So about the sculptural aspect of this installation, I was looking at the space of this gallery and the hallway of the hospital, and it has something futuristic, so I wanted to go with the style to the 70s kind of sci-fi stations, and then together with the designers that designed this exhibition, we came to this final form. So I would like to also mention the musician Mark Verhoeven, who made the soundscape for Groom. When we worked on it, during working on it, we were going back and forth, and the music is very much developed to the concept. Music anyway is very important in my work. I often work with musicians, and it was also a pleasure to work with the actors and the whole crew. It was great fun. So I'm very happy with it, and honored to be part of sitting between all the artists who know so much about science. Well, I don't really. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
I'm one of the participants of the Unreal exhibition, and together with patients I created a set or a series of paintings and poems that celebrate their transformation. So I'll tell you something about my art practice and something about the method that I used. I hope you'll find it inspiring. So my main question as a philosopher, artist and writer is, what does it mean to be your body instead of having a body? And what kind of way can we experience our bodies as being apart from the biomedical or utilistic capitalistic model? And I'm very much inspired by Ovid Metamorphoses, the mythology of transformation, of change. These patients, I like to call them participants, they underwent a certain transformation, physical or mentally or both, and oftentimes a chronic disability. And how can we create again? and not to see yourself as a patient but as a creator, almost like a godlike feeling of retelling your story. To me, trust is very important. I'm also a teacher, and trust is the basis of meeting someone and of exchanging ideas. So, yeah, we just started talking. I baked a lot of pancakes and just in a very informal way. And then we started sketching in each other's drawings, and in the end we started to paint together. And the same with the poems. I wrote a couple of words, and the participant wrote a couple of words, and this way there was like an alchemy to intertwine our ideas and the way they see themselves and the way I see them. And yeah, so it was really a wonderful experience, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
I'm originally from Switzerland and started off doing metalsmithing and product design, but then moved to London to do my master's at St. Martin's in material futures, which is where I started to work on this particular project. I've always been fascinated about how the brain works and why we behave in certain ways. And I spent quite a lot of time looking into phantom limb pain and how the brain simply doesn't understand that the limb is no longer there post-amputation, and how it continues to send signals which create that pain, and once the pain is there, it's almost impossible to get rid of it. My research taught me a lot about the brain and brain plasticity and how it remaps itself within 2 hours of the amputation, which is no time at all. And this just showed the urgency for this kind of work, and that we need to really focus on this post-amputation phase, which is why I chose to create a rehabilitation process that involves 3 distinct phases. The project is all about proposing a preemptive approach to the issue with the aim of creating a stronger link between the brain and that missing limb, helping people to adapt to their new physical selves. Each piece is made from metal because I wanted to bring in my background from metal smithing, but it was also the material that made the most sense for hygiene purposes and within the medical environment. And I worked to create all of the pieces with a group of hand amputees. So the process was quite collaborative, and I wanted to make sure each piece was very usable, very helpful for them. My fascination with human behavior continues, and I'm now working as a consultant in trend forecasting and consumer behaviors at WGSN in London. I'd like to come back to this work and continue to grow the project and test it on a broader scale and see how effective it really can be. So I hope you enjoyed the exhibition and the project. Thank you. Bye.
I'm an artist who questions who we are and who we could become at this time of humanity and technology merging. I use science and technology to create my work and have to collaborate across disciplines on almost every project that I create. A big part of what's created in the process of researching and making my artwork is not just the final artwork, but it's also the collaboration that occurs in the process. And I think this is the most valuable part for everyone involved, creating this joint space for exploration and innovation when people from different disciplines come together to create something new.
Hi, I'm Suki Chan and I'm an artist and filmmaker. I'm based in London. My artwork for the Unreal exhibition is a 2-channel video installation. It's called HALLUCINATIONS, and it explores the multiple realities of 2 women who are living with dementia. Dementia is perhaps one of the diseases we now most fear in society. It steals our memories, it dismantles the self. What I was fascinated to learn a few years ago when I started doing this research is that it can also change your perception of reality. It can change your understanding of what is real. And so I was very interested in this perspective. And at the same time, I met 2 very inspiring women who live fearlessly with dementia. And that's a really fascinating perspective, that dementia can take away your fear amongst many other things. Wendy experiences hallucinations. She sees her deceased father in the garden, and this sounds like a really unsettling experience. But for her, she actually looks more often than not, because for her it's a wonderful experience to see her father again. The work also features the perspectives of two carers. I hope that you'll enjoy watching it, and if you have any comments, please get in touch.
Sitting before you, uttering these words, is an assemblage of human, bacterial, yeast, and other identifying organisms that constitute the Nadine Botha personage, this research designer who is acting in relation to and under direction of her microbial critters. Much has been said of persons as ecosystems, but what we Nadine critters have become interested in is the sugar molecules that move freely between us. Sugar is what animates us, what brings the assemblage to life. In fact, whether something processes sugar is the crudest definition of carbon-based life. Sugar is energy, converted from the sun by plants through photosynthesis, and converted back into energy in bodies during the Krebs cycle. Without glucose in particular, there would be no thoughts wandering off in your brain, or movement of your lips, or even the deepest of sleep. Glucose is so essential that if humans don't eat it, the body creates it. Sugar is energy, and energy is one of the only universal currencies. One of its many forms must be transformed to get anything done. Yet it is only in the past 500 years or so that sugar itself has become a food item, with the establishment of the sugarcane plantations in the colonized Americas. Before that, sugar was a luxury delicacy, a condiment, and even medicine. It was Europe's growing sugar addiction that was one of the main motivations behind the transatlantic slave trade. So many bureaucratic and logistical principles of contemporary geopolitics can be traced back to the plantation-based monocultural economy of sugar that some critics of the term Anthropocene had suggested Plantationocene as an alternative. Sugar consumption has only increased since then, and is still increasing. In 1822, the average Westerner consumed the amount of sugar in 1 can of soda, that's 9 teaspoons of sugar, once every 5 days. Now it takes just less than 7 minutes to swallow 9 teaspoons of sugar. On average, we consume about 20 teaspoons of sugar a day. The increase in sugar consumption has arguably increased the capacity of our brains, senses, muscles through more energy. And eating sugar makes us feel good, happy, loved, motivated, and a host of other positive cultural associations. Less spoken of is the crashing hangover effect, and very serious effects on our metabolic health. Diabetes, heart disease, and obesity are skyrocketing, and the big food industry refuse to heed the scientific evidence showing the link to sugar. We, the assemblage of research designer Nadine Botha, are not here to tell you not to eat sugar for health or political reasons. For many of us, there is not much choice when sugar-added foods are all that can be afforded. Rather, let us become conscious of how much sugar has affected our reality, both our perceived, embodied reality from a biochemical perspective, and our actual material, exterior reality over the past 500 years. And let us consider that we might be like fish, unable to see water when it comes to this sugar-coated reality. We're inviting you rather to participate in speculating on a different way to spin history, through the lens of sugar. to connect the sugar granules in a way that opens up different possibilities. Because if we understand our history and reality differently, not as a causal deterministic river of inevitable progress for the few, but rather a constructed, designed paradigm, we can also understand our possibilities differently. Sugar, a cosmology of whiteness, asks, what do we really talk about when we talk about sugar?
I am Gavin Bolle. I'm a UK-based designer. My project is entitled Becoming a Virgin in a Biohacking Era, which questions the ethics of bioengineering and youth culture of tomorrow. So my exhibition is like kind of like a pop-up shop layout. So kind of as if you're walking around a shop and you're picking up, similar to a beauty shop where you pick up like kind of cosmetics. So in here you have items which kind of related to the kit and things that you would need. Regarding the kit is kind of a mail order, just mail order kit. It comes all the things that you need to biohack your body. For this kit, it includes GFP, which is green fluorescent protein, which is found within jellyfish. Within there's also like needles, there's like swabs, there's like in vitro solution. There's also some petri dishes to experiment with different ways, the different methods that you can do this. The video, which is on there as well, that demonstrates how to use the kit, and it's in the style of a typical unboxing video of where I try to find someone who fits like the YouTube aesthetic, and it's kind of like done their bedroom and doing the full demonstration. Yeah, so like when we are born as like a blank canvas, like our DNA is the same. Like even though we might alter our aesthetics of using like tattoos and body modifications, our DNA is exactly the same. Like even if like when people have like operation like transition, their DNA is still the same. So why not alter that DNA for them to be who they want to be like through their lifetime, and add things in, take things out, like see what we can do.
I'm Lloyd, Professor of Philosophy and Neuroscience at Trinity College in Connecticut. I'd like to thank the organizers of Unreal, Science Gallery Rotterdam, and the Erasmus Medical Center for putting on this great exhibition and for the opportunity to be a part of it. I began my career as a philosopher with an interest in human consciousness, drawing from the works of the classical phenomenologists like Edmund Husserl, Jean-Paul Sartre, and others. But early on in my career, I realized that to understand consciousness, I would need to understand the brain. On the neuroscience side, though, I quickly realized that the data were incredibly complex. And so one of the challenges that neuroscientists face and that I faced was how to render this data in a way that made it intelligible. How to make it possible for an audience to view neuroscientific observations and data in a meaningful way. And so I've constructed various animations of brain data and sonifications, that is, rendering data into sound. The current work, the Neuroanatomy lesson, explores seeing. We think that we take in scenes all at once as if they were static images. But in fact, our construction of scenes is a succession of quick takes in which we only are able to apprehend small details of a scene. And our eyes move about the scene and we construct the scene based on these saccadic eye movements. In other words, our seeing of any static scene is a story rather than something like a photographic representation. In this case, though, we have an undergraduate student who is looking at the anatomy lesson of Dr. Tulp for the first time. We track in real time her eye movements, and so we can actually see where her eyes fixate from second to second, and the microsaccades, the little jiggles that they make as well. And so we're at her side as she journeys through this painting for the first time, reminding us that all vision is like this. As it happens, the anatomy lesson of Dr. Tulp, in addition to being a terrific painting, is an apt analog for the theme of seeing itself. It's a group portrait, and Rembrandt has rendered all of his real subjects, including the dabber, with his magnificent deep portraiture. In a sense, each one of the figures in this painting is a fixation point. It's been captured as a separate image. And then that Rembrandt has done exactly what the visual system does, which is to combine these separate fixations into a single image, which he has rendered as a dramatic moment, a snapshot of an event, a fictional event, the anatomy lesson of Dr. Tulp itself. And so he's constructed a visual scene out of painterly fixations. It's as if in artistic time, vision is being represented much the same way as it is in psychological time, in real time, and our own seeing from moment to moment. Thank you again for the opportunity to be with you, and best wishes.
Ik ben Joep van Lieshout en dit is mijn atelier. We werken ongeveer met een man of 15 tot 20 aan heel veel verschillende projecten. Sommige zijn echte kunstwerken, soms is het gebruiksvoorwerp als een lamp of een kandelaar. Het zijn vaak of architectuur of machines. En nou, ik laat er eventjes eentje zien waar ik mee bezig ben. Dit werk heet Disco Inferno. Het is eigenlijk een hele grote hamer, een hele zware hamer, een zware steel, die voortbewogen wordt door een hele grote dieselmotor die vertraagd wordt. En deze hamer, als die klaar is, gaat die hameren, iedere seconde, maar in het ritme van een hartslag. En wat ik interessant vind aan een hamer is eigenlijk dat het een apparaat is wat aan de ene kant iets kan maken, het kan iets smeden of iets in elkaar timmeren, maar het kan ook iets kapot maken. Maar het is ook de hamer van een voorzitter, van een rechter, van Thor. Dus een hamer staat eigenlijk voor heel veel dingen in onze samenleving. En dat heeft ook weer te maken met wetenschap, met vooruitgang. Vaak moet je toch weer een oude theorie die we allemaal geloven of een oud idee, moeten we weer aan de kant zetten, plat slaan, om weer met een nieuwe theorie, met nieuwe mogelijkheden te gaan. En dat is wat mij interesseert aan onze samenleving, aan wetenschap, aan mijn eigen werk, dat het altijd gaat over vernieuwing en andere mogelijkheden. Nou, dit zijn werken die eigenlijk te maken hebben met de food processor die tentoongesteld stond. Dit is de chicken of the future. Dus eigenlijk is het idee dat je zegt, ja, maar als je eieren wil hebben, waarom heb je dan een kip nodig, waarom heb je een beest nodig, dat je in een hok moet zetten, die je moet voederen. Kunnen we niet een soort hybride vorm maken? Kunnen we niet iets maken wat tussen een organisme en een machine in zit? Dat is dit dus, de kip van de toekomst. Hier gooi je voedsel in, water, een hanenzaad en dan komt dat hier in het spijsverteringskanaal en de kloaken, om hier dus enorme eieren worden geproduceerd. Het werk wat bij de Science Gallery tentoongesteld stond, de food processor, is eigenlijk ook een boerderij van de toekomst. Een boerderij waarvan we zeggen van, we willen eten hebben, maar dat hoeven we niet op de traditionele manier te doen. Dus ook een hybride tussen een machine en organisme. En waar je aan de bovenkant in die soort grote trechter die er zit, afval kan gooien, of gras, of takken, of bomen, of wat dan ook. En dat dan door middel van bacteriën, enzymen en genetisch gemanipuleerde zaken weer een gezond en voedzaam product eruit krijgt. Dat apparaat bestaat nog niet, maar in de toekomst mogelijkerwijs wel. En waarom ik dit maak, is eigenlijk om een soort dialoog op te starten van wat is nu voedsel en wat is nou van ons belang. Alleen maar dat eten zoals we het vroeger kenden, of moeten we toch meer naar richting astronautenvoedsel gaan? En wat is dan beter voor de mens en wat smaakt beter en wat is beter voor de wereld? Eigenlijk hele actuele discussies over voedsel, over vlees, over klimaat en over de mogelijkheid om onze steeds groeiende wereldbevolking te voederen.
So my name is Charlotte Jarvis. I'm a visual artist and I'm also a lecturer. And I work in collaboration with scientists. So I'm interested in questions like how new science and technology has made the body a site for transformation or for hybridization, and you could even say maybe for magic. And the work that I've been presenting in Rotterdam is called In Posse. And it is an attempt, a journey, a quest to make the world's first female semen. And I'm doing that in collaboration with scientists at the Leiden University Medical Center. So this kind of quest that we're on is in 3 parts. So the first part is trying to make spermatozoa. So those are the little wiggly kind of tadpole-like cells that you probably imagine when I say semen. And yeah, I'm doing that with Professor Lopez in Leiden. And we're doing that by starting with my stem cells, trying to change their chromosomal makeup, so trying to change their sex, and then trying to get them to differentiate into the cells that make semen. That's a long process. So we have amazingly been awarded a Vici grant to do that part of the project, and that's a 5-year grant with 5 scientists working on it, and we're kind of quite near the beginning of that process. So super exciting. And then the second strand of the project is trying to make seminal plasma. So this is the liquid part of semen. This is like the jizz, the goo, the gunk, right? And this is really important to me as an artist, because this is the physicality of semen, right? If you're going to make female sperm, you want to be able to ejaculate it. So it was really important to me to be able to make this part. And that part I've made in collaboration with the Kursnikova Institute in Ljubljana. And that is effectively a recipe to make artificial seminal plasma. So you're mixing together different chemicals, and they're all the constituent elements of semen. But there's one ingredient which we've changed. So there's one ingredient in artificial semen which comes from the blood of cows. And we didn't really want to have this kind of element come into the project, particularly because we didn't know the sex of the cows. So we started off by me donating my own blood and extracting the plasma from that. And we found that that was actually really easy. So then we realized that we could do this with other women, trans and non-binary people. And we have opened up this process to actually hundreds and hundreds of women, trans and non-binary people to donate their blood to the project. And we extract the plasma and we mix it in. And this is what forms the basis of the seminal plasma, so the jizz part. And then the third bit is, how do you celebrate this? You know, how do you exhibit it? How do you put it within a history as a visual artist? And for that, I wanted to find some kind of ritual that I could use to kind of hang the project around. And I found an ancient Greek festival that was actually the biggest festival in the whole of ancient Greece, and it was called the Thesmophoria. And it was a fertility festival, but it's a complete mystery. Nobody knows what happened in the Thesmophoria, and that's because it was women only. And obviously women were not writing their life stories, and they weren't writing the history books in ancient Greece. So that's the kind of third part of the project, is the recreation of these Thesmophoria festivals. So every time we make a new batch, the latest version of female semen, every time the science goes one step further, we celebrate it by bringing a group of women, trans and non-binary people together. They donate their blood, we mix it all together, and we have one of these crazy festivals, and they're different every time we do them, and we've done them all around the world. So that's a kind of quite long summary of the project In Posse. And then actually the last thing I'll just tell you is what In Posse actually means. So In Posse is a Latin phrase with the literal meaning of it means before you're born. So it's something that has potential, but which has yet to come into existence. And that's really what we're trying for this project. We want a kind of bio-artistic activism, and we want to use the project to bring down the patriarchy. Imagine an animated, very colorful visualization of MRI brain data is spinning and spinning in front of you, while a meditative voiceover invites you to follow these rotations, to relax into these mesmerizing brain bodies, and to fully immerse yourself into this unique mindful experience. En passant, you will also learn that brain self-observation is a method that allegedly was originally developed by the US American CIA to influence the brain and to control thought activities, and that this method was then, rather smoothly, further developed into a tool to increase cognitive performances. What if these were your brain data, resulting in watching yourself spinning? Would you allow yourself to fully relax into it when you were told that watching yourself spinning and synchronizing with it would substantially enhance your brain performance? For this fictionalized, tongue-in-cheek video tutorial, I collaborated together with a quantitative imaging group at the University of Technology in Delft. My brain got scanned, and afterwards we animated the MRI brain data using the original data and the original color coding I was given. So these colors you see are not something I, as the artist, added to the brain data. Afterwards, I developed a meditative hypnotic voiceover for which I used voice techniques from mindfulness apps, hypnosis, instruction videos, etc. This voiceover is accompanied by a sound carpet that I composed, made of brain entrainment sound frequencies. Brain entrainment describes hereby the capacity of the brain to potentially synchronize its brainwave frequencies with the rhythm of external auditory, visual, or tactile stimuli. This is a phenomena still intensely researched, and a lot about it is also still not completely understood. Nevertheless, brain entrainment sound frequencies are already applied in numerous YouTube videos that promise to heighten your concentration, to boost your creativity, and for the science gallery, I developed a site-specific setup with 3 screens installed at the main entrance of the Erasmus MC. This installation should have been accompanied by a live text performance. This text performance was unfortunately cancelled due to the COVID-19 measures. That is why I'm looking forward even more to the installment of this work at the Pinakothek der Moderne in Munich, where it will be shown with a meditative voiceover as part of the exhibition Resistant Faces.
Hi, my name is Nilou, and I'm an artist that often uses the tools of science and technology to make art about things that I think artists have always made art about. I explore themes of sexuality, longing, nostalgia, more or less what it means to be human. And for this piece, Algorithmic Animal Gaze, this is a piece that I made for the Biological Art and Design Awards in 2018. And for this image, I collaborated with a computer scientist named Douglas Van Horn. And for this piece, at the time, I was very interested in ideas of artificial intelligence, or the human desire to create artificial intelligence. So the idea being that, I guess, giving a computational entity the ability to have creativity, or its ability to be innovative. And I kept thinking about the flip side of that, being that if this is possible, does that mean that I too could be algorithmically generated? Or I was thinking of myself as someone who potentially could be analyzed, nothing more than a pile of data if there was enough processing power. And so this piece was the result of a lot of conversations between neuroscientists and computer scientists. And I was learning all of these things. Like I was learning about a kind of thinking about brains as prediction machines. And so thinking of a brain as a bundle of cells that support perception and action by constantly attempting to match incoming sensory inputs with expectations and predictions. And so this image is an image of my body sorted by how predictable each parcel is to an algorithm that analyzes for compression, in this case, the Shannon-Fano algorithm. And the least predictable is sorted in some of the images from top to bottom, and then sometimes from middle out. And I thought it was really fascinating because the features of the computational eye, um, the features that the computational eye found interesting ended up being the same features that human eyes like to dwell on as well. So for instance, if I were to show you a picture of a human and there was eye tracking software on you, your eyes would probably fall to that person's eyes. You would go from the eyes to the mouth, to the eyes to the mouth, and then to the breast and to the genitals, and then probably back to the eyes and the mouth. And so the striking similarities between a neurotypical brain and the Shannon-Fano algorithm in terms of sorting the hierarchy of interest in an image of the body was something that I found really interesting. The set of drawings explored the computational eye and the cognitive eye as it relates to bodies, vision, cognition, perception. And yeah, that's a little bit about this piece.